Welcome to Beyond Investments with your host, Seth Leishman of Ostro Financial Consultants. Information provided is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but its accuracy and completeness are not guaranteed. Neither LPL Financial nor the hosts of this show or accept any liability for the use of the information discussed. Consult with a qualified financial, legal, or tax professional prior to taking any action. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Ostro Financial Consultants, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial. Today's guest, Rick Fisher, is a financial advisor with Ostro Financial Consultants, National Planning member SIPC. And now, Beyond Investments, here's your host, Seth Leishman.
Good morning, and welcome to Beyond Investments right here on News Talk KNCO AM 830. Seth Leishman and Rick Fisher here from Ostro Financial.
Howdy, folks.
Rick, we have a special guest today.
Yes, we do. It's that time of the month where we have a local organization come on the show so we can learn more about them. And today I have the pleasure of having Jennifer Singer, who is the executive director of Bright Futures, formerly the Friendship Club, of which I was a board member for about 6 years, but that was about 10, 15, maybe 20 years ago.
It was a while. Maybe it's time to re-up.
Yes.
I was just saying, you haven't changed any in those years.
No?
No, I don't think so. You're still as lovely as ever.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, when you start when you're 19, you have room to grow. The gray hairs and the wrinkles are definitely coming in.
Little gray wrinkles.
So thank you for coming on the show. Maybe you can start us off with the history of the friendship, Bright Futures, and start from there. And
So let's see. I was a co-founder of the Friendship Club. Of course, it was Mary Collier's brainchild. She had worked in the Nevada City School District with the PAL program for many years. I was a volunteer in that program when I was in high school. So I started as a junior in that program, working with a little girl over at Deer Creek School. My senior year, I made that my senior project. And I met with 3 little girls during the week. And that was really my first introduction to the reality that there were a lot of kids in our community who didn't have the same upbringing that I had. They didn't have the same opportunities. They didn't have the same kind of family supports. And so I got really interested in that work. But then I did go away to college. And then when I would come home in the summers, in the summer of 1995, Mary just was getting a lot of the girls who had aged out of the Pell program asking for more support. And she felt that they could really benefit by coming together, having opportunities, learning about peer refusal skills, learning how to make good choices, and then learning how that many people have overcome adversity and have gone on to have very lovely and successful lives, and let's get them in touch with those people. So that was really the impetus for the Friendship Club. We started a pilot program in 1995. We had a slightly different version of it in 1996. And then it was very clear that they needed more than 5 days of support in the summer. And we moved forward to create a year-round program. So we incorporated in 1997. I moved back for college for a couple of years to work at the Friendship Club, and I figured out my next steps. And here we are. So Friendship Club really grew with the needs of the girls over the years. We would, as the girls aged up, they had different needs, and we would expand our programming to meet those needs. As we continued to take younger girls into the program, we introduced mentoring and tutoring programs, field trips, and access to college. We had our first graduates, and so we honored them. And of course, we said, well, now we need scholarships, so we expanded into a scholarship program. So we really kept the Friendship Club pretty tight at about 85 to 100 girls at any one time, aged 11 to 18. They moved through the program in a cohort, and really the idea was to wrap around them for a long period of time and help address their needs as they aged. That was going very well and wonderfully. We certainly had community members asking for, what about the boys? And we need more support for boys and things like that, which I didn't disagree with, but I had my hands full with
time and resources.
Correct. And being a grassroots organization, we literally raised every single dollar that we had. And we could apply for some small grants, but we certainly didn't have kind of reimbursable grants or big government money or not that it's always that big or any really coming in to supplement. And so it was really community based, very intentionally.
In some of those discussions, one of the frustrations was because you had such a narrow focus that some of the bigger foundations, you didn't fit their criteria.
Correct.
And so it was always a struggle to get the funding because it was always the need. It's always been there.
Exactly. And so that we were only girls was problematic sometimes, that we served a small amount very intensely was problematic. And especially back in the 90s, money around prevention was unheard of.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot, especially government dollars went to fixing problems once they've stopped or started.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
And there was very little attention paid to, hey, let's get ahead of this. Let's give them what they need early on so they never even get into these situations. Right. And so that's really what our program was. So that meant they didn't check some boxes that might have been supported by different funding streams.
Is that still the same way it is, or has that changed a little bit?
It has changed a bit. There certainly is more attention to after school programs and funding through schools now actually have access, imagine that, to funding so they can provide after school programs, so they can provide summer programs for those kiddos that really need that kind of support. And we know the more you give kids those opportunities with positive adults and positive relationships and positive environments, that they're going to have resiliency that will keep them from making those poor choices, or if they're still going to make poor choices, but you have a little more wiggle room to kind of have conversation around that. So that's a change.
How many, I guess, students or clients do you currently have right now? Are you at maxed out, or? So
Bright Futures for Youth. So Friendship Club really was just Friendship Club, 85 to 100 girls at a time. And then in 2019, we launched a pilot program to serve youth experiencing homelessness. So this was really a first big change where we were now looking at a separate program that would support transitional age youth, age approximately 15 to 25, experiencing homelessness who are not in a system. So these are kids who are not in the foster system. They maybe never have been in the foster system or have touched it, but are not currently clients. They're considered unaccompanied youth. These are kiddos who are literally out there on their own, couch surfing, figuring it out. Yeah, right? They're mostly couch surfing. They're figuring it out on their own. They're probably trying to stay under the radar because they don't want to.
They don't want to go in the foster system. Maybe
they don't, or they know there's maybe too few foster care families and they're going to get shipped out of town.
Right.
And these kids, again, you're talking about sophomores, juniors, seniors in high school. They want to finish school, they want to get work, and then they want to be able to get out.
Right.
And so that program launched in 2019. And then on the heels of that, we started talking to the NEO program about the idea of merging and how we could do more together, because we were both seeing similar issues with kiddos, that more of them presenting with more needs than either of us were handling as well as we wanted to. And so this talk about let's come together, let's create an opportunity. Again, this is during the pandemic. We're having this conversation where we all had to shut down.
Yes.
And what else are we going to do? But it really gave us a chance to slow down for a minute, compare values, talk about what we really wanted for our community and how our community had changed, and that we felt that we had, Friendship Club especially had a strong program and a strong organizational infrastructure, and NEO had a very strong program. And what could we put this together and create something that was even better for the community and serving more kids? And that was the idea of the merger that led to Bright Futures for Youth that we are today.
I forget, what does NEO stand for?
So NEO stands for New Events and Opportunities, and is really designed to be an open door for any youth, junior high, high school, to come in, have a safe, cool place to be after school, have a place to do homework, have a place to play games, do some video gaming if that's what they're into, go into the music room, play, jam, form bands. Lots of bands formed out of NEO. And NEO also did have even more robust, and we are building it back up, a more community presence. So at the Thursday night markets and having bands play, or have a youth section, being out at the fairgrounds during the fair and doing the youth stage and showcasing young performers, as well as having a youth section where kids could just come and hang out for free and, get a break from the fair.
Yeah. And when you think about your space, tell us a little bit about, it's not new. But it's newer.
Yeah.
And I've been there. It's fantastic. So, what drove that and what's going on there? What's some of the newest things that's going on in your new space?
So in 2017, we had been over in Nevada City for about 11 or 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2017, there was just some things happening in the building that made it necessary for us to move along.
Yeah.
And so we were lucky enough that the Litton building had a lot of space available, and it was space we could work with.
Yeah.
And so we did a very quick renovation over there and brought Friendship Club over there, and we're functioning in April of 2018.
Okay.
And then, again, launched SAFE program and then kind of shut down. But while we were shut down, we built a commercial kitchen.
Yes.
Which has always been a dream because we do feed, right now we're feeding about 150 kids a week, and that will grow. So we were able to get that done and then merged. And then in October of last year, we were able to open what's called the SAFE Drop-In Center. And that is specifically for those homeless youth. And this is a place they can come to access case management, basic needs. They can get food. They can get a snack. They could get a coffee.
Yeah.
They could take food home. So, say they have a couch and they're allowed access to their kitchen. We have frozen meals they can take that are home cooked from us that they can then take and eat at home. So it's really a touch point. They could come in just during the day if they don't have anywhere. We know that'll start to increase, I think, over the summer when it gets hot.
Yeah.
There's a couch and it's cozy. It's just a cozy place to be where they can kind of hang out. So we did that in October. So that took over some space on the second floor.
Yes.
And then the next big project, of course, is building out the first floor. We have about 3,700 square feet on the first floor. We are turning into the Neo Youth Center. And so Neo has been operating in that building in a little room, like 300 square feet.
Right.
And so they've been doing the best they can with, the backyard and overflow spaces, but this will really give them their own home. And then we can be welcoming many more kids.
So how do you see the challenges changed over the last almost 20 years?
Well, I would say when we started the Friendship Club, we were very focused on kids who, basically it was generational poverty, kids who were very, very poor. Seth wasn't here, but Rick remembers maybe. Back then, we didn't even have apartments. We didn't have Sutton apartments and Brunswick apartments and those sort of places. These kids really lived in isolation, many of them on the Ridge, many of them down in Smartville. I learned about all kinds of places I never knew existed in Nevada County when I first started because we were, I was driving kids home all the time.
Right.
And so they were really isolated. That was a big factor for many, socially isolated for many of our kids. So poverty, social isolation, parent incarceration, drug addiction, mental health in the home. Those were kind of the markers that a teacher would sort of notice in a girl and say, I think this girl could really benefit from the support of the Friendship Club. So I would say, fast forward, we're still dealing with some generational poverty and just poverty in general. You're seeing many more families facing homelessness because of our lack of housing, affordable housing for those families. So a lot of more families in transition and needing support or connection to resources. Lots more what I would, the mental health piece is skyrocketed. And I think in part the awareness around mental health is there much more strongly now. We recognize these things early on and try to intervene earlier on. But I would say that depression and anxiety much more of a big deal.
Do you think that has to do with social media and the pandemic?
Social media for sure, and yes, the pandemic. But the only thing I want to say is that mental health crisis was on the rise for the decade before the pandemic. So I don't want to blame the pandemic.
It exacerbated the situation.
It exacerbated for some, and I think just drew awareness to some who probably were suffering anyway.
Yes.
But maybe they're, you know what kids do. They just go out and they're with their friends all the time. And you're as a parent, you have less interaction with those teenagers. But when they're in your home every day and they're going through their stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow, okay, maybe I'm building more of an awareness of something that could have been going on. But yes, it was the hardest, I think, on those older teens who rely heavily at this developmental stage on their friends.
Yep.
And that's what they lost. And then those other connections to positive adults in the community, their coaches, their teachers, their mentors, their friends. It did a number on those kids for sure.
So do you work closely with county mental health, or do you have staff that have a background in mental health, and how do you service the ones that maybe are beyond what you guys can do?
Right. So we do have a connection to behavioral health and definitely are making those referrals when appropriate.
Yeah.
But you have to have a pretty high level need to access those services. So when you're talking about a child who has emerging depression or emerging anxiety, they might not qualify. So I will say another thing that luckily has changed in our community since 1995 is there are more mental health professionals that we can access and get our kids connected to. We do have an MSW on staff who will shortly be an LCSW, but that's one person. Yeah. She can't really see everybody. Right. So she sees some of them usually through the SAFE program. Mm-hmm. So the others we're making referrals out to. Kindred Heart is out there, Sierra Family Therapy. Those are kind of our two go-tos because they have a lot of counselors. They're very flexible. Some can take some of Medi-Cal, some can take private pay.
Okay.
They work with people. So those have been really important resources that we utilize.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a mission statement?
We do. We have a vision and a mission statement.
Oh, okay.
Can I share both?
Yes,
please.
So our vision is that every young person has hope, opportunity, and the capacity to succeed. And our mission is to ignite the potential of youth today for vibrant communities tomorrow.
Very nice.
And I should say today and tomorrow, right? We want it to happen right now, too.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
And did you say what SAFE stands for?
I didn't.
Okay.
SAFE stands for Stability, Access, Foundation, Empowerment.
Okay.
So really trying to wrap around those young adults, figure out what the basic needs are that they have. So for example, I mean, some of them come to us and they need to get a job, but they don't have their birth certificate or they don't have, X, Y, or Z. So definitely they're working from the ground up. Okay. Yeah. Where are we? Where do you want to be? What are our goals? How are we going to help you get there? Sometimes they're ready to jump into school, so we get that going. Sometimes they would like to work, so we try to get that going.
Okay.
We are in a lot of conversation and other community leaders too, with Sierra College around how to identify the needs of employers in the community, the access to the education they have via Sierra College to get that training, and then the schools and the youth organizations to help drive the kids to those programs so they can keep them.
Yeah.
Because that's been a challenge. They'll have a great class. They get 5 kids. They can't justify that. They cancel the class.
Right.
And so we're all talking more about how we can work together to get the right classes, get the kids in the classes, and then fulfill some of our business owners' needs in our community.
Speaking of, we did a program, what was it, last week on financial literacy?
A few weeks ago.
Is there any movement towards, we think that teaching kids about finance should start, especially in this electronic world, should start very soon. I know the public schools are not doing it. Is that something you try to do in your programs?
I'd say it's something we have dabbled in and would love to do more and could do better at doing. So we're open for that conversation. It's definitely something that, like I said, we've had small classes here and there, but I think that's an area we can. I guess what I should say too is that, while we have the 3 distinct programs, we're seeking all the time how we can work together, do things together. When it crosses, financial literacy, I want NEO kids learning that. I want Friendship Club kids learning that. I want SAFE kids learning that. It doesn't have to live in one program. And so what are those things that we can bring to them and offer it up together? And those are areas that could be an area that we look at.
I think we know
life
a couple
skills
of guys
in general.
that have the background that could teach that.
Just a couple.
There's 2 that I can think of.
I might see 2 of them.
Yeah.
Right
Now.
Yeah. And I'll be in on those classes, by the way.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Get some of those things I missed along the way.
These days. Quite a few adults ought to be in there.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and I want to talk about some more programs you have coming up, especially the summertime.
Great.
As we're going into summer, I know you've got a lot going on. So we're going to come back and talk more about that. You're listening to Beyond Investments here on News Talk, KNCO AM 830.
Today's guest, Rick Fisher, is a financial advisor with Austro Financial Consultants, National Planning Member SIPC.
Welcome back. You're listening to Beyond Investments here on News Talk, KNCO AM 830. We have two more important things to cover today with our remaining time. One, Jen, I'd love to talk about what you guys have coming up for the summertime.
Okay.
And then as a lead-in, we're going to talk about how people can give. Because
or help in general.
Or help in general. Yeah. Time, talent, treasure.
Absolutely.
It's all important.
Yep.
We have a crazy summer ahead. So, while most, schools are obviously going down, but we are really ramping up. So NEO, we'll start there. NEO has what's called the Great Camp, and that is for incoming sixth graders. That is in partnership with Grass Valley Police Department and probation. It's a really fun week of camp focused on teamwork, leadership, community service. So that's going to be fantastic. So that's going for about 25 sixth graders.
Great.
Then Friendship Club model has always been that each cohort, so when you're a sixth grade cohort and then a seventh grade and then an eighth grade and a ninth grade and a 10th through 12th grade, each of those cohorts will have a week of camp, day camp for the younger ones. And then as the girls get older, they start getting to go on trips out of town.
Yeah.
So we'll have our eighth graders celebrating their kind of graduation into high school. They're going to Monterey. They get to do the aquarium and stay in the hostel and have a great time there.
Yeah.
And then some of our older girls are taking turns. This year we're utilizing the camp's recreation space up at Shady Creek, which is up in North San Juan. A beautiful facility there, and we can do all of our activities there.
Fun.
So that's Friendship Club. In addition to that, we have clinics and workshops they can sign up when they're not involved with camp. So we could have an aerial workshop or a rock climbing workshop, photography, volleyball, tennis, learn how to camp. We really, we switch that up, and so girls can sign up for that as well. And then 2 summers ago, so this will be our 3rd summer, we did start in partnership at first just with Nevada County and actually with Nevada City School District to host what's called the Summer Youth Hub Camp. And this was a little different than our typical mission just around teens. This expands, but what we felt was an important service to the community to provide all-day camp care for littles. So as young as TK, kids entering TK all the way up through 8th, but usually we're seeing more in those younger numbers. And this camp is available to those kiddos 5 days a week for 5 weeks, 8 to 6 p.m. every day. Includes breakfast, lunch, and 2 snacks a day. Every week has a different theme. There's a ton of volunteers and great programs coming onto campus. Last year they had a climbing wall that came into campus for a week. And really, again, it's twofold. It gives kids a fun, happy place to be, to have fun, and kind of also keep up on that summer slide. Like, we're not doing school, but they're doing stuff that keeps their brains active and really, helps kind of bridge that gap between the summer when, they show up like, what? I don't remember anything.
That's right.
So there's learning that's happening every day. We have people coming in speaking or teaching Spanish every week. We have, for our older kiddos, they're having what's called Quest Camp, which is a little more adventure oriented and things like that. So that program this year should serve around 250 kids.
Wow.
And so that's an exciting and new program. Happy to be in partnership again with Nevada City School District on that, and also in with Union Hill partnership as well.
Great.
So as a support, how many staff members and how many donors? Because I would assume it's funded primarily by Nevada County. You don't get a lot of money from outside the county?
The overall organization, or
Yes.
yeah. So overall, our organization has shifted. I would say Friendship Club used to be kind of like 85% community, 15% private foundation grants. We sit at around 50-50 right now. For example, the homeless youth program, there are some dollars available out there that we have been able to access through government streams. But our largest grant that supports that organization, that program, I should say, is through the Sierra Health Foundation, the Elevate Youth Grant, which comes from Prop 64 dollars. So that is a primary funder for the SAFE program right now. Also private donors as well.
Yeah.
We have probably, 1,000 donors in our midst. And we have about 200 monthly donors, which is a really cool program.
It's the best way to do it.
Thank you, Rick, for being a monthly donor.
Absolutely.
And it allows a donor to spread it out over time. It allows us a monthly nut that we know we have to utilize. And so that's always a program we're really encouraging people to consider and learn more about, because it's that ongoing support that's so critical. Many of the grants we receive now are reimbursable, which presents some challenges sometimes with cash. So again, those monthly donors become really important to kind of bridge that in between those larger chunks of funding and that are more specified. We have many donors who we are, have told us that we're in their plans. So we really try to talk to people about planned giving and leaving a legacy in our community. We know so many dollars go out of our community to universities and kind of bigger organizations. So I encourage you, if you're listening, to learn more about how to keep your dollars local.
Yes.
We have many wonderful organizations here, and we would all love to be part of your plans as you're thinking about that. We can also take gifts of stock, which are I mentioned because some donors don't think of that, and it is a way to deal with that appreciated stock. So that's something that we're prepared and able to take. And then really volunteerism is huge. And so being a volunteer, coming in, learning more about the opportunities we have to give in that space. We have people who drive kids to and from activities and from school to us. We have people who work in our kitchen and help make sure the meals get out in a timely fashion and then help us clean up. We have mentors. We have tutors. As the Neo Youth Center opens and grows, we will have more and more needs for cool people who are willing to come and just be a part of it and interact with the kids, but also be an adult that kind of keeps an eye on things. So really, we have people come in and teach workshops. There's all kinds of wonderful volunteer opportunities that I think will only grow as we continue to expand.
Do you guys have a website?
We do, bffyouth.org. And so you can find all the details and all the programs. We have some fun, little videos here and there around Friendship Club graduation and radio spots from KNCO. In fact, when we were holding graduation over the radio waves during the pandemic. So that's kind of fun.
That's kind of cool.
And then I would just say, if you are even remotely piqued by this, we would love to have you come over, give us a call, and set up a tour. Most people, they hear what we do and they're like, that's amazing. You're awesome. That's so great. And then they come over and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea how expansive it was. And really, you just get the feeling for what goes on over there. It was nice. I sat with a gentleman from the hospital this week, I think, and he said, it's so cool to see a small community have such an amazing, robust opportunity for youth in our community. And that's really, I think, bright futures. When we were imagining coming together and being together after the pandemic, I said, we have got to rise from the ashes and bring something super amazing to our community. And it needs to have a larger footprint and support more kids so that more people get engaged in this work, because it's important stuff to invest in our youth.
When people go online, can they donate online?
Absolutely. We have online options. You can become a monthly donor online. You can make a one-time gift. If you're considering making a large gift, I would encourage you to give us a call. all, so we don't have to pay those credit card fees.
That's right.
But we'll take it no matter what.
But you could draft it from a bank
absolutely.
account, could you
You
not?
can also draft from your bank account. That does require a
so
phone
if you don't
call.
care about the points.
Yeah, but if you don't need your points and you're willing to
right.
either make, but you know,
Yes.
of course, we love our credit card donors. Don't get me wrong, and we're proud to be part of the Pay It Forward program as well. So we get a little bit of a kickback for any credit card fees.
Good. Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Yeah,
Jen, really
my
appreciate
pleasure.
you. And yeah, definitely. As always, we encourage any listener out there, you can go to our website at astrofinancial.com and stream this show as well as any previous show. And as always, if you'd like to learn more, give us. Oh, you have to.
I just want to say one more thing.
Yes.
On the Neo Youth Center, we are in a capital campaign.
Yes.
We have raised 95% of our goal.
Okay.
So if you would like to help us close the gap,
What
on
is that gap in dollars?
It's about $40,000.
Okay.
Oh, great.
All right. I think that's doable.
I think
Right.
so.
We have raised 407.30. Whatever the math is on that.
Yeah, a ton.
But we've been very grateful. We were recipients of the Del Webb Foundation for $150,000, and then the rest of the $450 has come from the community. So
community.
thank you.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we hope you have all you listeners have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Information provided is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but its accuracy and completeness are not guaranteed. Neither LPL Financial nor the hosts of this show or accept any liability for the use of the information discussed. Consult with a qualified financial, legal, or tax professional prior to taking any action. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Ostro Financial Consultants, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.